Okay, so this evening I'd like to tell you an abridged version of the story of the Idea Bank to create fourth sector jobs in communities where there are none. First, a brief prologue. This past August, there was a summit held in Rocky Mount, North Carolina to mark the end of the Truth and Hope Tour of, I can't do all these things at once. Truth and Hope Tour of Poverty in North Carolina. Folks had gone throughout the state and over the past or previous several months, and at the summit they showed a documentary of what they had found, and folks started to make plans to address some of the issues that were highlighted by the tour. And obviously the issue of poverty is complex, and there are many interrelated needs. And however, as the first young man in this clip from the documentary video makes clear, jobs is certainly part of the solution. However, it's also worth noting what these other young people have to say. Previous jobs in this area came at a cost to the health of the community members, and so yes, they want jobs, but they don't want to have to choose between employment and their health or the health of their families and their community members. So, okay, end of prologue, and on to the Idea Bank. In case you're not familiar with the term fourth sector, I'll start with a brief definition. A fourth sector business is one that's kind of a cross between a for-profit and a non-profit. And so it has an environmental or social mission like a non-profit business, yet at least a good part of its revenue comes from earned income. And even though the term might be unfamiliar to you, there are lots of examples of fourth sector businesses that have been around for quite a while. Goodwill Industries is something that probably most folks are familiar with. And today's Goodwill Industries sell donated goods, so the sell part is the earned income, and they use that money to support their mission, which is to provide education and job training to folks who wouldn't otherwise easily be able to find employment or keep jobs. And finally, as you can suspect, Goodwill actually keeps a ton of stuff out of the landfill, so they have an environmental portion of their mission as well, so they do both. Here are just a very few of the fourth sector businesses in North Carolina, and they're both started here and are working here. And so at this point you might be going, okay, I see where she's going with this. One hand, there's distressed communities, they need jobs, they have environmental and social needs. On the other hand, you have fourth sector businesses, they can provide or create jobs, and they address environmental or social needs. And yeah, that is where I'm going with it. But unfortunately, there are complications. A lot of the areas where jobs are needed don't have the best business environment. And by that I mean you could draw an analogy between growing crops and growing a business. And if you have fertile soil, you have adequate rainfall, then you have what you need to have a fighting chance to grow a business. It's still a lot of work, but you have access to the resources that you need. However, in not so fertile conditions, you have a lot of special problems. And so this analogy, as I mentioned, holds for starting and growing a business. And much of the poverty in North Carolina actually occurs in rural areas of the state or in underserved urban communities or among members of special populations such as the disabled, veterans, ex-offenders, seniors, etc. So a business that works well here in Raleigh might not work at all in, say, Star, North Carolina with population 1,000. So, well, I got ahead of myself one slide, but basically we were thinking, okay, wouldn't it be great if we could collect stories of fourth sector businesses that actually are working in these difficult conditions in North Carolina and then spread the word throughout the state, both online and in person. Okay. And so, to hear more, please stop by our table.